Hello there. So the UK government organises talks with the political leaders of Northern Ireland, but Sinn Fein refuses to engage. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe, click the little bell, select all, and then like and comment below. Now, not only has Richard got a message for you at the end of this video, we're answering our very first direct question from a message left on our voicemail set up today, and we've already got another of those lined up for tomorrow. But first, the UK government set up talks between the Foreign Secretary, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland and Northern Ireland politicians for discussions on the Northern Ireland Protocol, but Sinn Fein has decided not to engage. And they may have won something by doing so, but more on that in a minute. The party, Sinn Fein, that refused to join a power-sharing executive with the DUP because of the lack of teaching of the Irish language, but then condemned the DUP for refusing to join Sinn Fein in a power-sharing agreement until the protocol was sorted out, is now refusing to engage with the UK government because the leader of Sinn Fein in the Republic of Ireland, Mary Lou MacDonald, wasn't invited. Despite the fact that the Sinn Fein deputy leader, Michelle O'Neill, who actually has a seat in Stormont, was invited. And as the BBC said, it is understood Ms MacDonald was not invited as she is the leader of the opposition in the Dáil, the lower house of the Irish Parliament, and that the UK government considers it against protocol for Mr Cleverly to meet her before he meets his counterpart in the Irish government. And anyway, if anyone from the Irish Republic had been invited, it would surely have been the Irish Foreign Minister. And I would have expected an EU presence as well in that case, so as to make a complete set. But it was a UK government stroke Northern Ireland meeting, so surely there shouldn't be an issue, outside of childish politicking that is. But hey-ho, any excuse for division where nationalism is concerned. Especially any excuse to try and get Republic of Ireland politicians into what is basically a UK-only meeting. And with the other nationalist party, the SDLP, pulling out in sympathy with Sinn Fein, it tells us all we need to know. Anyway, Sinn Fein has no intention of allowing any easing of the protocol. The only aim for them is to use it as a wedge to prise Northern Ireland away from the UK. So it's not as if their input is going to be at all helpful in restoring Northern Ireland's full position within the United Kingdom, is it? And Sinn Fein called the UK petulant over this. No, it's Sinn Fein being petulant while not observing normal protocols. Now, a UK government spokesman said, "This meeting is for Northern Ireland politicians to talk through issues around the Northern Ireland Protocol with the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland and the UK Foreign Secretary. The leader of Sinn Fein in the Assembly, Michelle O'Neill, was invited and remains invited. Her attendance is a matter for Sinn Fein, but she was not excluded." All that Sinn Fein had to do was register their disapproval and get around the table. But as I alluded to at the start, they may have won something out of this now that the BBC has suggested that the only block to the attendance of Mary Lou MacDonald was that our Foreign Secretary hadn't met his counterpart in Ireland yet, and that means that after Cleverly has met his opposite number, the Sinn Fein leader could now insist on being at all future meetings, whether relevant or not. She could have got her toe in the door. Except it's interesting to note that the government spokesman didn't say that, just that the Sinn Fein deputy leader was invited. One hopes the DUP will remain firm and say no movement until the protocol is gone. So, Now I'm going to answer the first question left with our brand new voicemail system yesterday. And here we have the question from Keith.
Hello, this is Keith. The government wants to introduce digital identity requirements, which will be in force by the end of this year in December. And the consultation is from the 4th of January to the 1st of March. My question is, why is the consultation so short, and why are they rushing it through to be in force by 2023? It's on the government website for the consultation process. Okay.
Thank you, Keith. And looking at the comments around the bazaars, I also get the feeling that quite a lot of people are concerned about where this might be heading. Now, I've left a link to the page covering that consultation in the descriptions box below to give you a chance to air your views. This webpage was published on the 4th of January and it talks about the consultation ending on the 1st of March. Now, to be clear, this is not being advertised or implemented as a general UK ID system, yet. This is a system for people to set up a personal ID verification gateway between themselves and all government departments without the need for an ID card, all using a new system called gov.uk One Login. Now, the consultation is not about having that system, it's about the Cabinet Office's proposal to enable data sharing between specified public authorities to support delivery of identity verification services to individuals and households. And that means different departments across government sharing your data with each other so that you can log on and who you are can be easily verified. With the Parliamentary Secretary to the Cabinet Office, Alex Burkhardt, saying, "This consultation sets out proposed data sharing legislation that would make it easier for citizens to prove who they are online when accessing government services." And that's what the consultation is about, except for one oddity that I'll come on to. Now, this gov.uk One Login is being developed and is being advertised as making it easier for people to find and access government services, allows users to prove their identity online, protects the privacy of users, and reduces identity fraud and theft. And as far as I can see at the moment, this only concerns the sharing of data that facilitates ID verification. And it gives a list of the usual things they'll be sharing, like your full name, your address, date of birth, passport number, driving licence number. But it will also be sharing attributes held by government departments necessary for verifying the identity of an individual. Sounds a bit ambiguous, doesn't it? But that might mean things like any passwords or PIN numbers they give you to use to log in. But that could also include fingerprint, face and retina recognition going forwards, even DNA information. Who knows? Now, it also says that transactional data will be shared and gives the example of income. But when dealing with some departments like the Land Registry, you may need to pay a fee for a service, and that would mean them processing your bank data, etc. Could that be shared? And then it says, other data items may be processed as identity verification services develop. And although it then stresses all the safeguards being put in place, we all understand how mission creep works and how governments develop things. Now, all of this is designed to make your life easier when talking to the tax people, the Land Registry, getting a DBS certificate for a job, and all the other times you interact with government. And doing it all digitally without having to wait for the postman to deliver all the relevant documents. Now, interestingly, there is no mention of the police in all of this. The police service is a public body, and you may need to contact them. Now, when the police interact with you for any reason, at a car-related incident for example, could they, in the end, be empowered to demand you use the system to verify who you are, and eventually make it a criminal offence to claim you haven't got one of these government IDs when you have? And what powers will the police have to interrogate the database about people they suspect of being up to no good? Anyway, those who are in frequent contact with one or more government agencies will probably welcome this. It will make their life easier and be more efficient. But this database will be worth a fortune to some hackers, so it will have to be well backed up and very secure. It will also be a target for the worst of foreign intelligence services and those who engage in DDoS attacks. Now, the consultation talks about adding 4 more entities to the list of those with access to the system. They want to add the Cabinet Office, the Department for Transport, DEFRA, and the Disclosure and Barring Service, the DBS. See how easy it is to effectively add hundreds, if not thousands of people onto the list of people who have access to your data? Who next? GCHQ? MI5? The consultation also makes clear this is about services to households and individuals, but there will be many businesses that may want this to be expanded to them as well. Now, one concerning piece about this for me is that despite the consultation being about data sharing purely for gateway access, it also talks about the new rules put in place that allows specified public authorities to share personal information for objectives which are set out in regulations. Something that is aimed at improving or targeting public services to individuals or households in order to improve their well-being. And this seems to go further than just information to allow you to log on and access services. Now, it's being touted as a move to help you as a citizen. But when I look back at previous government initiatives, it is normally about taxing or controlling you, and little thought has been put into whether it increases your day-to-day well-being. And however benign or helpful people are when they put something like this in place, it can always be abused later by the unscrupulous. Now, the idea of this new system might be purely about you being able to easily contact a government agency and get the right service. But how will it look in 20 years' time, after 4 more governments have gone through it, and a big drive to get people into the system? Do you trust them not to expand this quietly into some sort of mandatory ID system? Or even worse, a social and carbon credit ID system in the future? I, for one, do not. Now, that's long-winded, I know. But what is their endgame? And I think they see this as just a small part of the overall package. This is, after all, just the access through the gateway into their services. But what comes after this in the years ahead? So, whether this is a rush or whether they just view this as a sort of consistent time frame with what they're looking at, I don't know. But what I'm more worried about is, where is this going? What is the eventual aim of all of this? Now, don't forget to leave us your question on 07999 297 611. And now over to Richard for his thought of the day.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, I did go outside to make a quick little video for you to show you some of the beautiful countryside outside, but I'm afraid the weather was against me and I was knee-deep in cow, and therefore I abandoned the whole thing. Never mind. Okay, so what stories, or which stories, are dominating the headlines at the moment? We all know, and you know what I'm going to say, and I have to keep repeating this. It's very important that you understand that you are being distracted. There is no reason for this amount of coverage to be on the news about a former or current prince. I don't know what his status is at the moment, but why do you need to know this when we've got a cost of living crisis and wars going across the world, disasters popping up left, right and Chelsea, big decisions being made in the background that are being covered up by news of this spat between two brothers and a family row. Yeah. How important is it? Well, you decide. I can't tell you. All I'll say is this: you might agree with what has been said on GB News and on different news channels. It may tally up with your own opinions. It doesn't matter. I have an opinion, you have an opinion. It's like, which tastes nicer, cauliflower or bacon? You know, it doesn't matter. It's not important. It's bacon, obviously, isn't it? Anyway, so please realise you are being played. You are being distracted. This needs to be in your mind at all times. When you look at the headlines, I'm going to be starting a new section, actually. We've had this discussion, Jeff and I, and the discussion will be Journalist of the Day, where we will go through the newspapers and we will see the utter rubbish that is being presented to you as news, as if it is in some way very important. I mean, an example would be, I read yesterday that David Walliams, whatever his name is, has been replaced by somebody called Alan Carr on Britain's Got Talent or whatever silly talent contest they are fronting. I mean, my life has got more to it than that, and I'm sure yours does as well. We don't need to have this constant third-rate distraction, third-rate entertainment. If you want to watch something worth watching, I recommend you watch The Chosen. Have a look for it. You can, if you download the app, The Chosen. I think it's called VidAngel or something. Okay, granted, it's a Christian perspective, but at least it's quality. It's made well. You might totally disagree with what's inside it, but at least you're getting something of some substance. Anyway, and a lot of people don't even agree on that, but who cares? Just get out of this current mindset, this current distraction that is dominating the news, and that's why I felt compelled to come in front of you today to say this. I'm just going to leave you to it, and keep thinking for yourselves. You might not like me or what I have to say, it doesn't matter, but just for one moment, if I can trigger off in your mind that thought that you are being controlled, great, job done, mission accomplished. Anyway, lots of love to you all. You look after yourselves, okay? It's a cruel old world out there. Okay, take care.
Thank you, Richard. And finally, when subscribing, please don't forget to press that little bell and also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch the show.